In the first century, Jesus of Nazareth stood out as a teacher with a revolutionary message. He proclaimed that he was uniting two realms, God's heavenly domain and our earthly existence. This was what he called the coming of God's kingdom, a new way of living, right here and now, where heaven and earth meet. Jesus invited people to follow him, not just for a future hope of heaven, but to experience God's reign in their everyday lives. His message wasn't an escape from the world, but a way to bring the divine into the ordinary. This new reality was meant to reshape how people saw everything, including their relationship with material possessions. Before we dive in, we'd love your support. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. Your kind gesture will provide us with the motivation and encouragement we need to keep creating engaging content. The idea that God's heavenly realm could be experienced on earth through Jesus radically challenged many aspects of life. Jesus taught that the most significant barrier to entering this new kingdom was attachment to earthly things, especially possessions. He spoke of wealth and material goods as things that, while seeming to offer security and freedom, could actually keep people from experiencing true life. Jesus called these things stored up treasures, warning that focusing too much on accumulating possessions could distract from the deeper reality of God's presence. In his famous Sermon on the Mount, he laid out a new way of thinking about wealth, urging his followers to focus on spiritual treasures instead. Jesus knew that it was natural for people to collect things. After all, having stuff makes life easier, offers comfort, and provides a sense of security. Many believed that wealth and possessions could bring freedom, enabling them to live how they wanted. But Jesus turned this idea upside down. He pointed out that relying on material wealth for security could actually imprison people. The more possessions we accumulate, the more we tend to focus on keeping them safe. And in doing so, we lose sight of what truly matters. Jesus wasn't saying that material things are evil, but he warned that they could become a distraction, keeping us from experiencing God's kingdom in its fullness. In one of his teachings, Jesus said, "Do not store up treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." He was addressing the fragile nature of material goods. Even the most valuable possessions can be lost, stolen, or destroyed. Protecting them often becomes an all-consuming task. But Jesus pointed to a better way. Instead of focusing on temporary treasures, he urged his followers to seek treasures in heaven, spiritual treasures that could never be taken away. These heavenly treasures, Jesus taught, were far more valuable than anything earth could offer, and they would lead to a deeper experience of God's presence. So what are these heavenly treasures that Jesus was talking about? They aren't physical objects that we can accumulate and store away. Instead, they are acts of love, kindness, and generosity that reflect the values of God's kingdom. Jesus taught that living a life of compassion, mercy, and justice is what it means to store up treasures in heaven. These treasures aren't subject to decay or theft because they are eternal. They are part of the fabric of God's kingdom. Every act of love, every moment of kindness, and every time we choose to forgive someone, we are investing in the treasures of heaven, which shape our hearts and bring us closer to God. Jesus made it clear that what we treasure most in life will shape who we are. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, he said. This powerful truth reveals that our desires and priorities direct the course of our lives. If we prioritize material wealth, our hearts will become attached to those things. But if we prioritize love, justice, and mercy, we will become more aligned with God's heart. The treasures we store up, whether on earth or in heaven, will eventually shape the kind of people we become. Jesus urged his followers to focus on eternal things, the things that reflect the nature of God's kingdom. To further illustrate this, Jesus used a metaphor drawn from everyday life. The lamp of the body is the eye. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. In this context, the eye represents our perspective on life. In the Hebrew culture, a good eye was a symbol of generosity, while a bad eye indicated greed and selfishness. Jesus was saying that if we have a generous heart, our lives will be filled with light. But if we are consumed by greed and the desire to hoard wealth, our lives will be darkened by that pursuit. The way we view and handle material things affects our spiritual health. However, Jesus warned that if our eye is bad, meaning if we are stingy and focused on material wealth, our whole body will be full of darkness. This isn't just about money, it's about the condition of the heart. If we allow greed to control us, it clouds our spiritual vision. We lose sight of the things that truly matter: love, compassion, and justice. Jesus' warning was clear. Our obsession with possessions can block us from experiencing the light of God's presence in our lives. He called his followers to let go of their attachment to wealth and instead pursue the things of God's kingdom where true life is found. Jesus also shared a parable about divided loyalty. He said, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." In this parable, Jesus personified wealth as a master, one that demands allegiance and control over our lives. He was pointing out that wealth can easily become a tyrant, ruling over us and pulling our hearts away from God. If we allow money to take that place of power in our lives, it will conflict with our ability to serve God fully. Jesus was calling his followers to make a choice. In this parable, Jesus emphasized the importance of choosing where our loyalty lies. If we choose to serve wealth, it will consume our attention and devotion. But if we choose to serve God, we will find freedom from the tyranny of materialism. Jesus didn't just tell people to give up their possessions. He wanted them to understand that wealth itself isn't the problem. The problem lies in where we place our trust and devotion. Jesus wanted his followers to trust in God as their provider, rather than relying on their own wealth for security. By trusting in God, they could experience the fullness of life that the kingdom of heaven offers. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I request you to support us by liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting the bell icon